A data broker may know where you sleep, what you buy, and which phone follows you to work, even if you have never heard the company's name. One raw location ping may be nearly worthless. A purchase record without a reliable identity is only a loose fragment. But match those fragments to an email, phone number, home address, and device, attach likely interests or risks, and sell access to many customers. The same information can produce revenue again and again, because delivering a copy does not consume the original. That sounds like a business with almost no inventory cost. It is not. A serious broker must keep buying data, repairing identities, proving where records came from, serving enterprise customers, and processing people who want to disappear from the database. That last cost changes today. California says more than 500 data brokers registered in 20. Beginning August 1st, 2026, brokers must check the state's centralized deletion platform at least every 45 days and process eligible requests. So, how does the profile get built? Who pays for it? And after data, engineers, salespeople, lawyers, and privacy risk take their share, how much reaches the owner? The supply chain begins with first-party data, information a business collects through a direct customer relationship. A retailer knows what its own customer bought. An app sees the device using it. A website records a visit. A loyalty program links transactions to an account. When that information is licensed or passed to a company with no direct relationship to the consumer, it becomes third-party data for that recipient. Signals can arrive from app software development kits, advertising auctions, web trackers, shopping and loyalty records, warranty forms, surveys, property files, court records, and other public sources. Location data can begin as latitude, longitude, time, and a mobile advertising identifier. Repeated pings can reveal a likely home at night, a workplace by day, and visits to shops, clinics, churches, or military facilities. The source matters as much as the field. In its case against InMarket, the Federal Trade Commission said location came from the company's own apps and third-party apps embedding its software kit. The FTC alleged that Mobile Walla also collected location-linked advertising identifiers available through real-time ad auctions for purposes beyond bidding on ads. Some suppliers are paid cash, others receive analytics, audience tools, or a revenue share. Public records may be cheap, but collecting, standardizing, updating, and licensing them at national scale is not free. And fragments are not yet a product. The profitable step is deciding which fragments belong to the same human. First, the broker normalizes names, phone formats, and addresses. It removes duplicates, flags impossible values, and decides which record is newest. Then comes identity resolution. Deterministic matching uses strong links, the same email, phone number, or customer identifier. Probabilistic matching uses patterns such as devices, locations, and household relationships, then assigns confidence. One device may become linked to an email, that email to a household, and that household to purchases and public records. The output can be a profile, an audience segment, or a score, likely homeowner, frequent traveler, luxury shopper, fraud risk, recent mover. These are predictions and classifications, not revealed truths. A stale address or a common name can attach one person's eviction, criminal record, or interest label to somebody else. Anonymous does not always mean safe. A peer-reviewed mobility study found that 4 spatiotemporal points uniquely identified 95% of people in its dataset at the study's resolution. That does not mean 4 pings always reveal anyone. It means movement patterns can be unusually distinctive when combined with outside information. Cleaning and matching are therefore both the value engine and the liability engine. A more aggressive match rate creates more sellable profiles. It can also create more false matches. Our hypothetical company has four revenue lines. First, annual subscriptions give enterprise clients access to an identity graph, audience library, or query allowance. Second, an API charges for each successful lookup or enrichment. Third, list licensing charges per 1,000 records or matched profiles. Fourth, custom projects combine data and analysts to answer a client's specific question. The buyer may be an advertiser trying to reach likely customers, an insurer or identity team checking risk, a landlord using a properly regulated screening product, an investigator finding connections, or a government agency purchasing commercially available information for an authorized purpose. But these categories are not interchangeable. A people search site is one consumer-facing type of broker. A credit bureau or background screener, used for housing, credit, insurance, or employment, may be a consumer reporting agency with Fair Credit Reporting Act duties. An identity verification company tests a claimant. A consumer scoring company produces a prediction. A social platform mainly collects first-party activity from its own users and usually sells targeting access, not a raw database. A data aggregator combines sources, but may or may not sell the result. One company can perform several roles, and the legal rules often follow the product's use, not the label on the website. Repeat sales create the attraction. A maintained profile can answer an advertising query today, support fraud detection tomorrow, and appear in a licensed segment next month. What limits the loop is not depleted inventory. It is contract rights, freshness, accuracy, consent, permissible use, and law. Consider our base company, 80 million matchable profiles, 260 enterprise customers, and 180 annual subscribers. Subscriptions generate $11.7 million. 150 million API queries at 4 cents create 6 million. List licenses add 2.5 million, and 20 custom projects add 2 million. Total revenue is $22.2 million. Now the leaks begin. Data procurement and licensing take 4.2 million. Cloud storage and API delivery take 1.4 million. Cleaning and identity resolution take 1.6 million. Engineers, product staff, and security take 3.4 million. Enterprise data does not sell itself. Salespeople and commissions take 3.6 million. Legal, privacy, and compliance take 1.2 million. Consumer opt-outs take 350,000. The company sets aside 750,000 for breaches and litigation, then spends 1.8 million on general administration. Platform EBITDA is 3.9 million, a 17.6% margin. After a $1 million technology and compliance reserve, pre-tax distributable cash for the owner is $2.9 million, or 13.1% of revenue. Every number in this company is an editorial assumption, not a claim about a real broker. The structure is grounded in public disclosures. Large identity platforms report that third-party identity data, cloud hosting, engineering, security, sales, and legal administration are all material costs. Can a broker legally sell data when the person never directly agreed with that broker? There is no single yes or no. The answer depends on how the supplier collected it, what was disclosed, whether consent was required or promised, the state, the sensitivity of the data, the buyer, and the intended use. The absence of a direct broker relationship does not make every sale illegal. It does not make every sale lawful either. Health, children, reproductive activity, and precise location create special risk. The FTC has restricted sales of sensitive location products and required supplier consent checks in recent orders. Federal law also restricts covered transfers of Americans' sensitive data to foreign adversaries, while the Justice Department's data security program treats some cross-border data transactions like export controls. Government purchases create a separate controversy. Intelligence agencies openly acknowledge using commercially available information because it can have mission value. Critics ask whether buying a dataset can avoid protections that would apply if government demanded the same information directly. The legality depends on the facts and authority, but the capability is real. Accuracy creates another trapdoor. A marketing segment may merely waste an ad. A wrong identity in housing or employment screening can deny an opportunity, which is why regulated consumer reports have accuracy, disclosure, and dispute duties. And consumers rarely know how many times a profile was sold. Historically, opting out meant finding brokers one by one, proving identity, and learning whether the request covered all uses. Centralized deletion reduces that search cost for Californians, while creating recurring work and lost coverage for brokers. Our weak company has 45 million matchable profiles and $9.425 million of revenue. Fixed engineering, sales, and compliance costs overwhelm the smaller customer base. EBITDA is negative $4.775 million, and the owner must cover $5.375 million after reserves. The base case leaves $2.9 million. The strong case reaches 20 million profiles, better pricing, and far more query volume. On $44.2 million of revenue, it produces $17.2 million of EBITDA and $15.4 million of pre-tax distributable cash. That is an upside scenario, not an industry average. The sensitivities explain the spread. Raise data procurement prices 50% and base owner cash falls to $800,000. Cut API volume 35% and it falls to $1 million. Lose a major customer cluster and the company slips slightly negative. Restrict sensitive data products and owner cash becomes negative $395,000. A $6 million breach or lawsuit beyond the normal reserve turns it into negative $3.1 million. So the broker is not really selling facts in a warehouse. It is selling the ability to recognize, reach, evaluate, or influence a person at the moment a buyer cares. Raw records are cheap. Reliable identity, legal permission, and repeated access create the margin. And when any one of those breaks, the same profile that could be sold many times can also create the same liability many times.